Ladies and gentlemen, we are live after a huge win for Manchester United. That was a hard-fought 3 points, and it was a very well-deserved 3 points today. We needed to come up big, and it was going to be a hard-fought match no matter what, and we came away with that victory. Today, I am joined, as always, by the one, the only, the famous Matthew McFadden. Matthew, how you doing, man?
You know what? I'm handling the thing quite well, to be honest. I thought I'd get straight to my head pretty quickly, but you know what? I'm keeping grounded. As I say that, I'm a $1 million mansion.
Well, Doug, I know your prediction was way off, and Mohamed Rad, I do agree with you. I do think that De Gea saved us a bit, but guess what? A goalkeeper is part of the team. That's the reason why you have a goalkeeper. So De Gea saved us, yes, but it was the whole team that saved us. So Matthew, jumping right into it, here's some stats for you. So it was 55% possession to 44 in favor of Manchester United. We had 6 shots on target with 10 shots total. They had 6 shots on target with 17 shots total. We had 735 touches to their 612. We had 533 passes to their 419. We had 17 tackles to their 12, 22 clearances to their 15, and then we had 2 corners and 1 offsides to their 7 corners and 0 offsides. Any of those stats really stand out for you?
I'm actually surprised that we made that many passes. I'm guessing that passes completed because every 2 seconds I'd look up and one player would just make a terrible attempt at a pass from like 2 yards away.
No, you're absolutely right.
Then for that game.
And
like we were starting counter-attacks fine, and you know there was occasional glimpses of good fortune there, but the passing was just on another level bad.
Well, and the thing is, the first 15 minutes we came out and we really owned the match, but the rest of it, it was kind of back and forth like I thought it was going to be. And much like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, which, Ollie, it's good to have you here. You know, if you ever want to come on the show, you let me know. I mean, it's probably not really Ollie. Oh, but Leicester isn't a bad team. Leicester City really isn't a bad team. And I am going to remain in a state of just, guess what? We beat a team that has just been good against the top teams. They have not played poorly. And for me, coming away with 3 points from that match away was fantastic. And something else I definitely have to say, huge credit to the away fans because you were the only ones that I could hear today. I literally heard them from minute 1 to minute 90 nonstop. Like,
tell you what, I was just stuck the life out of Leicester City, to be honest.
Yeah.
They play some most turgid, boring football I've seen. To be fair, actually, they weren't that bad today, but there's no atmosphere in that stadium anymore.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like the funny thing is, they still hand out those fans, like the clappers. You know what I'm talking about? Like in their fans were occasionally trying to clap those to try and just drown out our away fans, and it wasn't happening. Our away fans were amazing.
The only song that I heard them sing was that, you know, your city is blue, just like Leicester, your city is blue.
Okay.
One, don't you kind of need to have a rival team in your city to sing that song? So, by default, of course, your city's blue, you dumb moles.
Yeah. 2,
I like how United just came back instantly with the 20 times chance. It's just like, you know, sit down, you won it once. No one cares.
And like Doug said, it is a tricky place to go and take a win. You know, Jay Hart asked, is Delo that bad that he can't start ahead of Young? Matthew, I'll throw that question to you first. I mean, Young did not have a good game. Again, this is, 4 matches in a row, basically, that we've kind of put him in question. Should Delo be starting at this point?
think you know that cat from that game, from the Everton game.
Yes.
I think he should start.
No, let's just
anyone in this position should just be in contention for starting over Ashley Young. Because actually, don't get me wrong, I thought he was okay in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just different level of awful. And for the other 75 minutes, he's constantly missing interceptions. The passing was rubbish. Crossing, poor as usual. Didn't really see him make any tackles. Defensively suspect for the whole game. It was just another shocker all around, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not wrong on that. And listen, what Vince Russo said it. I mean, and I don't necessarily disagree. He said we need a right back. We can't just keep saying Delo needs more time. I don't fully disagree with that. If we're not going to be playing Delo, or if we're going to be saying he needs more time, then it's time to start, looking elsewhere. Whether that's going to be bringing in somebody to be a starter and let Delob kind of be the understudy, or whether that's going to be that we bring in a competition type player for Delob and let him play, let them both play and see who's going to win the job. Because for me, Ashley Young has reached a point where we need to start looking at trying somebody else. Like, we all know what Valencia can do, and we shouldn't be playing Valencia. So it has to be Delo that's going to go out onto the right wing, because there's also no way that Mateo Darmian should be starting as well on the right wing. So I don't know where to go from that. It's tough because, like, I get the whole thing of, like, Ashley Young has that veteran presence. He has a natural right foot so he can cross the ball. But at what point do you stop, like, giving him the chances, because we need to try something else? I mean, Matthew, what do you think?
Like, we can go on about Ashley Young's experience, but the only thing he's actually experienced at being is a shit right back. Like, experience means nothing when you're a terrible player. Which I just think sums up Antonio Valencia and Ashley Young for that matter. But yeah, I think going into that game, I think I mentioned that I'd possibly look at signing Ricardo Pereira, who, to be fair, was a bit of a threat. But that pass to Pogba to set up that goal was an absolute hospital pass, really. Like, to be fair, he had a couple of players sort of pressing him, but no, we need to sort out the fullback situation. Yeah.
No, we really do. And one thing I will say, too, is you look on the other side, I thought Luke Shaw had a great match today. He put a beautiful natural-footed cross right on the head of Rashford, and Rashford couldn't finish it. And and all I could think was, oh, Marcus, you don't be Mourinho's Rashford, be Ollie's Rashford, because we love Ollie Rashford. Like,
and then 10 minutes later, he did that.
Exactly. 10 minutes later, he gets the goal, and then I was like, okay, perfect. Like, you're gonna miss chances. Like, that's being real. You're gonna miss chances in this game, and at the end of the day, yeah, he might have missed a chance, but he made up for it and scored a goal. And ultimately, that goal was the winner. As surprising as it was, because I mean, to start talking about the game, Matthew, I certainly thought that Leicester was going to score at some point. I mean, were you surprised that we held them goalless?
To some extent, yeah. I think both centre-backs did quite well in keeping Jamie Vardy completely out of the game. I don't remember one single shot that he had.
Yeah.
But especially from corners, though, Harry Maguire, there was one header where he absolutely... I can't even describe a word. Can't even think of a word to describe how powerful that header was. But unfortunately for him, I think he had it straight at Harvey Barnes. But it was just an absolute bullet of a header.
Yeah.
And I was expecting that every single time we got a corner and big Harry Maguire was stepping up, and I thought, oh no, look, chances are we're going to score here. But I think if we had actually had Phil Jones in that game, wouldn't have kept a clean sheet, because Harry Maguire would have thought, right, I'm going straight on him. He can't jump, so it's going to be 3 goals for me.
Yeah. Sophie, yeah, we did win. We came up with a huge 3 points, and we 100% like that's exactly what we needed today. We needed the 3 points, and we got it. I mean, Matthew, you brought up a great point there. I mean, and literally every single time they went in for a set piece, the camera just went straight to big Harry Maguire's 134-inch flat screen TV of a forehead. And
that's not a flat screen TV, that's a cinema now.
Like it that he every single time they put the camera on him, I was like, okay, like this is going to be the time where they're going to score. Like this is going to be the time, because like it just, they had so many set pieces down the line, and I was expecting at some point for that big freaking forehead to just smash one home. Like I look at Harry Maguire and I just think, dude, that guy's gonna put in a header from a set piece at some point. Basically, anytime he's on the pitch, I wouldn't be surprised if he wound up having like 20, 30 goals in a season, just because like his forehead can literally create those chances. Sorry, I'm obviously being a little bit sarcastic here, but
kind of like Steve Bruce in that first Premier League season when he got 19 goals.
So, Sophie with a quality comment here. She said, Maguire makes me think of the wardrobe from Beauty and the Beast. He'd make that role. He'd play that role so well. Yes, 100%. He would like. He's. Here's the thing. I would like, and we talked about it yesterday on the stream. I would take Harry Maguire at Manchester United. Manchester United have historically always had the best center back in England, or that plays for England, and at the moment, I think that's Harry Maguire. I mean, Matthew, do you disagree?
I'd say it's either Harry Maguire or John Stones, which, to be fair, doesn't really give England that great account of how good the defenders are at the moment. But yeah, I think our biggest achievement of the match was stopping Harry Maguire scoring from a corner.
A big Nemanja Matic was the one stopping Harry Maguire from scoring from those corners.
Nemanja Matic, man of the match somehow. Don't even get me started on that.
Like, I don't understand. Guys, this is 2 matches in a row that you go onto the Man United app, and I've personally been confused about at least 50% of the people they put in for man of the match, because today it was De Gea, who I believe should be in the conversation for man of the match. And then the other 2 were Nemanja Matic and Marcus Rashford, who for me, yeah, they both had decent games, but were they man of the match level performances? No, they were not man of the match.
I don't think many people played that well, but even still choosing him, really? Like, because what? He made 1 or 2 good tackles in the first half.
Yeah.
On the ball, he was just simply awful.
Yeah. No, he like Matic for me, like I look at him and he does, like, he's starting to do what we all kind of wanted him to do, and that's break up the play and then get the ball off quickly. But these last couple of matches, he's kind of started bringing back that old Jose Matic where he kind of dwells on the ball a little bit more. And there's times where that's okay. But to me, I look at Nemanja Matic and, like, that's somebody that we should, like, you just need to get the ball and get it off. That's what you should be doing. And I don't understand how he's in the conversation for Manchester United's man of the match today. Like, Vince, and I actually agree with Vince Russo's 3 too. Like, I could have seen Shaw, Bailly, and Herrera all being in the conversation for man of the match today. I really could. So, as a matter of fact, Matthew, let's go ahead. Let's start getting into our player ratings a little bit, because that also allows us to talk about the match. David De Gea always first, and David De Gea was David De Gea. That's the best way to put it. He was David De Gea today. What are you going to give him? And guys, if you want to have your ratings read out for your players for what they did today, be sure to get them in the live comments now, and I will read them off for you.
Yeah, I think David De Gea is probably one of the only players in that team who I can actually say, yeah, he had a good game.
That's fair.
So I think there was one really good save that I remember. Well, I don't remember the exact save, but I know that I tweeted right after it saying "Get in, Dave." So it must have been a decent save. And I think there was one or two others as well. I think there's one or two people saying David De Gea saved us today. Yeah, I can kind of understand that, but yeah, I just think overall it was a good game from him. I'd probably give him a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8.
So I actually agree with Jay King's man of the match. He's giving the Pigeon the man of the match today. Very fair.
Yeah, it just wouldn't piss off.
No, he wouldn't.
That was the same pigeon.
Yeah, it was the same pigeon too. That was a big pigeon too. That was like eating level pigeon.
Like a Lukaku pigeon.
It was like a Lukaku pigeon. I mean, Matthew, for me, I'm giving De Gea an 8 today. And the reason why is there was actually a couple of times where I noticed his distribution was better. There was a particular throw that basically set up a counterattack that he threw it to Luke Shaw. And I was like, man, Dave's really been working on this. Like this was the part of this game that I think a lot of people criticize him on. And he really kind of showed a little bit more today in that. The pigeon was looking for to get revenge on Darmian for killing his brother. That's a quality comment, Vince Russo, because I completely forgot about Darmian killing a pigeon. That
respect in the comments.
Yeah, that is. You know what? We give out claps when they're earned, and Vince Russo, you earned that, sir. But to me, so you add in the fact that De Gea also made 2 or 3 just top class saves like he always does. There was the one save that he made off of the set piece that was kind of a surprise that was going to go for that top right corner. And just De Gea managed to be there and he made it look easy, but it certainly wasn't easy. That was by no means an easy save. And then there was the other save that you were talking about, Matthew, where you kind of commented about it right after. Like those 2 specifically, plus the fact that it looks like that De Gea is working on his distribution. De Gea gets an 8 from me today. So we'll go ahead. We'll get into your guys' ratings. Again, guys, if you want to have your player ratings read out on the show, get them into the live comments, and we will get them read out for you. So Superboy13 said that he's giving De Gea a 7. Wolverine said De Gea 8. AFAF said De Gea 10, which I'm assuming you're just giving De Gea 10 because it's David De Gea, and I like it. Vince Russo said 7 for De Gea. He made that bicycle save look easy, which that is very true. That was by no means an easy save. Which, Matthew, I think that was the save that you were talking about. Now that I'm really thinking about it.
He kicked it.
Yeah,
he saved it, but it sort of fell out of his hands and he managed to pick it up quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Vandy Candy said De Gea 6, his usual performance. AFF said, I hope a draw for City and Arsenal. AFF, I actually want City to win this, so that way we could go ahead of Arsenal in the table. If City win, we go ahead of Arsenal, and we're in 5th. I'm not going to complain with that.
I don't want City to win, but I want Arsenal to lose.
Exactly.
So if that
let's see here. Sophie, don't make me laugh. So Sophie said Lukaku battled well today, and I know battled well too. Which I know you're joking about that, Sophie, but Lukaku will get the ham roll of the week if we really want to get into it. Because 10 minutes into the game,
rolls around 10, will stuff his face with it.
Oh, just way too real, way too real. So Jay Hart said De Gea an 8 just for that save. Easy, good to see you. And yes, guys, F's in the chat for our fallen comrade, the pigeon that Darmian killed. F's in the chat. And then Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer is giving De Gea a 9. I love it. I absolutely love it. Saban said De Gea 7. Hang a donut off the crossbar for Rom, said Wolverine. Yes, that would probably get him going a little bit faster. That is for sure. But let's go ahead. Let's move on because I think that we're kind of getting a little bit too far into the joke category now, guys. Well, speaking of jokes, Ashley Young.
I was literally about to say the exact same three, wasn't it?
Speaking of jokes, Ashley Young, Matthew, what are you giving Ashley Young today?
Can I give him a -7?
You can give him whatever you want, baby.
-7 out of 10. Let's go.
Okay, fair enough.
We've criticised Ashley Young a lot, but this game in particular was just awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
Like, if only George Kyle was in the comments right now, because he would be on a full-blown rant.
I want my George Kyle in the comments talking about Ashley Young. I do. I want my George Kyle in the comments. That way he can talk about how right he is about Ashley Young, because he is 100% right. Ashley Young was a waste today. And this is the reason why I think that ultimately we will almost be guaranteed to see Delo in the next match against Fulham. I almost am willing to guarantee it. For me, I'm giving Ashley Young a 3, because even though we kept a clean sheet, Ashley Young was literally invisible. Like, he wasn't making crosses. He wasn't helping out defensively. He didn't do anything, and he's supposed to be our captain. That, to me, says everything. That you're wearing the captain's armband, and yet you're putting in a performance that I'm just like, okay, where is our right back? If honestly, Matthew, what it felt like is it felt like Antonio Valencia just stole the body of Ashley Young. That's what it felt like.
Have you ever seen him playing right back at the same time?
No.
Well, theory confirmed.
No, listen, I think theory confirmed. I think Ashley Young has officially had his body taken over by Antonio Valencia. I think it's all but confirmed.
We must congratulate him on his transition, though.
Very true. You know what? Good for you. Good for you. But Ashley Young, just you if you're wearing the captain's armband, you need to improve, because you can't put in those kind of performances. So I'm gonna have fun with this. So Superboy 13 said 4, Saban said 3, Vince said Young 2. He's lucky George Kyle isn't in the chat. I need my George Kyle in the chat to talk about Ashley Young. Vandy Candy said Young 2. Wolverine said Young 5. Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer said Young 6.
Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer, like Jose Mourinho.
I was about to say that sounds more like a Mourinho rating, but you know what? Ollie does love his players, so let's give him that. Let's see here. So Vandy Candy said Young 2. AFAF said Young 3. J Hart said I give Young a 3 at most. Awful in this game. Awful as captain. Awful since December. Which you're absolutely spot on that, J Hart. Yeah. Superboy actually changed their rating to a 2. Chris McTeague, good to see you. Happy to have you here. Chris McTeague, be sure to get your ratings in. We're not quite fully through Young yet. And Vince Russo said he wants a new contract too, which, yeah. I'm not giving Young a new contract at this point now. I think that we will be in the market for at least one fullback, if not 2, come summertime. And then Vandy Candy actually kind of echoed the same thing, said, let's just let the contract run down and let him walk out, which I am fully okay with. Fully okay with. Like I said, guys, Ashley Young is wearing the captain's armband, and he's putting in performances like that. He was, in my opinion, the worst player on the pitch today, without question, and that was for both teams. I think he was the worst player on the pitch for both teams, and that says a lot.
I think there's only one player who I'd rate worse than Ashley Young, and that's Mendy from Leicester, who should have got sent off about 6 times. 2-1 City, by the way.
2-1 City?
Big boy Sergio getting another goal.
So Sergio on a hat-trick now. Well, there we go.
Justin Arsenal are actually looking quite good as well.
Funny enough, I'm watching it through the NBC Sports app, Matthew, which means I'm about a minute and a half behind you. And right now, so literally right now, I'm watching Sergio Aguero chase down the ball, and then the ball was kicked out by an Arsenal defender.
Once again, not incessant defenders.
Jay Hart actually kind of said what I was just thinking. I was actually going to say Mike Dean was a better player than Ashley Young today because Mike Dean helped us out more than Ashley Young did.
Mike Dean has better energy levels than Lukaku.
Yeah, Mike Dean has the best energy levels.
For 90 minutes straight.
Yeah, exactly. But Matthew, let's go ahead. Let's move on because unfortunately it looks like we're going to have to not delay anymore to see if George Kyle was going to join us.
But yeah, Anthony joins right after the next rating.
I know, right? So let's, you know what? Eric Bailly was on the right side today. What do you give Eric Bailly?
I think he was probably our best defender.
I agree.
Even including Lindelof. Like, Lindelof's been amazing in the last couple of months, but like Eric Bailly was definitely better of the two.
I agree.
That one little moment where I don't know who it was. I think it must have been great because they absolutely twatted the ball.
Yeah.
Where Bailly just stuck his face out and risked getting an injury for it. Like, that's just centre back that we want to see. It was like seeing the man give Vidic.
Yeah, it was.
Not quite in the level of it, but same kind of attitude, same kind of mentality. And that's the sort of thing that you either have the mentality to do it or you just don't. Like, you can't really train that into someone. It's like Marcus Rashford, whenever a cross comes in, he seems to blink all the time because the ball's coming to his face.
That's fair. Like,
it's just something that you can't really teach.
So for me, Eric Bailly was like, I agree. I think he was by far the best defender on the pitch today. And I personally, I'm going to give him an 8. I think Eric Bailly was just for somebody. This is the way to put it. For somebody that hasn't played in the Premier League in quite a while, I give the guy massive credit for going out there and looking like he's been playing week in and week out for the last 6-7 weeks at a minimum. So that's just me. And my hope is that this is the moment that Eric Bailly kicks off and starts really becoming our center back partner for Victor Lindelof. And honestly, let's kind of hope that maybe Chris Smalling can get back sooner than later, because I would prefer Chris Smalling to Phil Jones all day long, because at least Chris Smalling can get on the end of headers. Let's see here. There we go. So Superboy 13 said by 8, brilliant performance today. And you know what? I was debating back and forth between it, but I'm actually going to give Eric Bailly my personal man of the match today. For a guy that hasn't played in a while, he put in an amazing performance today. So I'm going to give Eric Bailly man of the match. Vandy Candy said Bailly 8. Chris McTeague said both Bailly and Lindelof were good, both 7.5 for me. Maybe 8 for Bailly. Let's see here. Jay Hart said Bailly is 7. Did a lot of clearances. AFAF said Bailly 7.9, so not quite in an 8 for AFAF. I usually give Bailly a lot of stick, but today 8. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said Bailly 5 because he was kind of nervous. You know, I mean, if that's your opinion, that's fair. Let's see here. So Superboy said Mourinho wasted Bailly, which I completely agree with. Vince Russo said Bailly 8, stopped a vital through ball to Vardy. Jay Hart said, I'm sorry, no. AFAF said our future lies in Lindelof and Bailly, which I agree with. I think that they are the future. And then Saban said Bailly 8. And Superboy, I do know that Arsenal are currently winning. I'm watching the match in the background right now. But I mean, Eric Bailly, I mean, Matthew, I mean, from talking with you earlier, I know that we were kind of back and forth between Bailly and De Gea. I mean, who are you going to give man of the match to?
I'd probably give it to Big Eric, because I think clean sheets are more about the back four rather than the keeper.
Yeah.
Personally, that's how I feel. And he also stopped Jamie Vardy from getting through on goal. I think it was Madison who played the through ball.
Yes.
It was actually a really good through ball, to be fair to him, but Bay cut it out in the last second. So I think for that and the fact that he was, just consistently solid for the whole game, I give him man of the match.
Okay, and that's fair. That is fair. Let's go ahead and let's move on to Victor Lindelof, who was a little bit more quiet today. I'm not saying he had a bad performance by any means, but he was definitely a little bit more quiet today. Matthew, what are you going to give him?
I think it's good that he was quiet. That's what you want to see in a defender. You don't want to see many moments where they're really, really tested, or you sort of think to yourself, oh, great, what's he going to actually do here?
Yeah.
So I think it wasn't quite, an amazing performance again, but it was just solid all round, really. I'd probably give him a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I think 7 out of 10 is appropriate. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 today, too. And reason being is, yes, he wasn't, by any means the best defender on the pitch. But for me, I look at what Victor Lindelof did today, and when you really watch his performance, he was covering the guy that he was on and made it so he couldn't even get the ball, which kind of says a lot about somebody that's really coming into their own. And I actually do think that Leicester really did kind of game plan for going after Eric Bailly. I really believe that. And so Eric really stood tall today, with that being in mind. So Victor Lindelof gets a 7 from both Matthew and I. Let's see what you guys are going to give Victor Lindelof today. So Jay Hart said, I give Lindelof a 7-2. He was the most accurate passer today, 96% successful passes, which that's an impressive stat. AFAF said Lindelof 7. Wolverine 97 said Lindelof gets a 7.5 from him. Searboy 13 says Lindelof 7.5. He's good and undroppable, which is 100% true. Vince Russo said Lindelof 7 did his job. And Superboy also said Lindelof is underrated, which I agree with. I think that Victor Lindelof might be the most underrated center back in the Premier League, possibly at the moment. Matthew, do you agree with that?
I probably agree with that. I think, to be fair, he's the definition of underrated. And I think he's only underrated because his first season was such a disaster that people aren't really adapting to the fact that actually he is a good centre back now. Or when I say people, I mean fans who are not Man United fans. They sort of still see him as this, potentially shaky centre back, which really he's just not been.
Yeah, these last 10 matches, he has been anything but shaky. That's the best way to put it. Is under Ollie, he has looked like a completely different man, and we have had no questions about if he is the best center back on the pitch, and that's been obvious. So I think that Victor Lindelof is somebody that people should start putting some respect on his name. Start putting some respect on that name, because Victor is coming for that top spot for a center back, because he's just calm, cool, and collected at all times. And in the modern game where you need your center back to distribute the ball well, Victor Lindelof does that to a T. To a T. We did get another rating here from Saban, who said Lindelof 7. Vince Russo said Lindelof is greater than Maldini. Way too real. Way too real, Vince. You cannot improve when you are dropped every second game, which, Vandy, 100% true. 100% true. If that is slightly true. Respect does come with trophies, but I still like Lindelof, and I just think that he's our future at the position. So, yeah, I don't think there's really anywhere else to go with that. Matthew, let's go ahead and let's move on to Luke Shaw, who, to me, he's another player that I think had a pretty solid game today. Like we talked about earlier, he put a ball across with his left foot on a silver platter for Rashford, who put it over the top of the bar. And then defensively, he was solid all match. What are you going to give Luke Shaw today?
Yeah, I think to be quite honest, apart from that one cross, I didn't really see much from him from an attacking point of view. What impressed me was his defending, particularly like his reactions, because we saw so many times that fullbacks were overlapping, and then that would give the wide defenders this kind of confusion as to where they're actually going to pass to, whether they're going to pass inside to Vardy or Madsen or whatever, or if they're going to pass to like Ricardo Pereira in that case. And there was a few times where his reactions were just absolutely fantastic. So I think in terms of a match rating, I think I'll give him a 7. I don't think he was amazing, but just solid in general.
Yeah, he was. I think 7 is one of those that you could say like he didn't have like a great game, but he was solid and he did exactly what he needed to do. And so, you know what? Just to kind of be a little bit different, I don't like to give half ratings, but I'm going to give him a 7.5 today because I feel like part of the reason why the clean sheet was kept was because of Luke Shaw. So we have talked about it in the past that, you know, you kind of give a player an extra 1 point if a clean sheet is kept defensively. So Luke Shaw, I'll give him a 7.5 today because I'm not going to give it the full point. Apparently, I'm only going to give it the half point because I'm a dick. You know, fair enough on me. Love you guys. I don't get it, Matthew. I just don't get it.
Me neither. Me neither.
If you want to hide it, go ahead. But let's go ahead. Let's read what you guys have for Luke Shaw.
At least you know you're getting popular now.
That's fair. That is fair. If you're getting
come up with the bet, watch speak.
Yeah, come on, bro. If you're gonna post something,
come on.
Like if you're gonna post something, at least have a decent name. Like, come on.
Also, part of the Arabic text that you put in there counts towards that link. So the link's invalid anyways, you absolute nutcase.
Good call, Matthew. Good call. But let's go ahead. Let's read what you guys have for Luke Shaw today. AFF said Shaw gets a 7.0.0.0.0.1. Fair. Jay Hart said Shaw is man of the match for me. He did everything today, created chances up front. That cross to Rashford deserves a point itself. Defended well, even when Sanchez wasn't tracking back, which that is a good point. I did notice today that Anthony Martial is honestly at the point where if he's healthy, he is undroppable on that left-hand side because Anthony helps out in defense as well as when he gets forward, you can see defenders are terrified when he's running at them. So Anthony Martial, I can't wait to have him back fully in the starting lineup. Vince Russo said Shaw gets an 8, went forward and defended well. Superboy 13 said Shaw 7. Chris McTeague said Shaw 7. Jay Hart said an 8 for me. Saban said Shaw for me 6. I don't like him. So Saban, I don't like you saying that he's fat because if Luke Shaw's fat, I am 100% like obese because he is not fat by any means.
Is Lukaku a small planet?
I was about to say, Lukaku looks bigger than me, and I guarantee you I weigh more than him. So what does that make Luke Shaw? Like Luke Shaw is nothing in comparison. Vandy Candy said
during the summer he did look a little bit of a thick boy. I'm not gonna lie.
He was in the summer.
Not a bit.
But when he's mid-season, I think that he puts the work in to make sure that he's basically game ready. I think that's the best way to put it. Vandy Candy said Shaw 8 defensively did his job. Defending comes first in games like this, which that's a fair point, Vandy. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said Luke Shaw 7. He is getting better and better, which he is. I have noticed him starting to slowly progress under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which has been very nice to see because he started off not being so great, but at like every game, I feel like I've noticed him getting a little bit better and a little bit better. So I think that he just needs time. So Wolverine said Shaw 8. Phil Mitchell said Shaw 8. Phil Mitchell also said Lindelof and Bay for the rest of the season, which I 100% agree with. And then I don't see anybody else's ratings. So, and Saban, if you don't like Luke Shaw, that's completely fine. But I mean, if you're going to call him fat, you're making me feel self-conscious out here in 2019, and we don't do that in 2019. We don't make people feel self-conscious in 2019. Okay, we out here in 2019 making people feel good about themselves. Yeah, exactly. Like, my bad, Matthew. My bad. But let's go ahead, Matthew. Let's move into that midfield and go to somebody that apparently was worthy of being put in the man of the match conversation for Manchester United and their app. What are you going to give Nemanja Matic today?
Right, see if we're going to judge him just defensively, I'd give him a 6, maybe, if I'm feeling extra generous, a 7. But that wasn't his whole role. His whole role was to, break up attacks and then give it to the more creative players. And he just failed at that miserably. I think there was one good pass that he made in, I think it was the first half. It was a really good through ball to, I think it was Lingard, but it was intercepted, but it was still a good through ball.
Yeah.
But passing and on the ball, it was just like Jose. It was like, yeah, Jose's Matic, really.
For the most part, yeah. There was a couple of passes where he was really, really good.
Like a few good passes here, and then defensively he was okay, but not man of the match for me whatsoever.
No, he shouldn't be put in the man of the match conversation. I think Luke Shaw should be put in the man of the match conversation before Nemanja Matic. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
in terms of rating, I'd maybe give him. I'd say, I don't know. It's a weird one because one half of his game was okay, and the other half was terrible. So really, I'd give him a 5 out of 10, maybe.
Matthew, I'll let you take care of that one. Again, you're ruining your link, bro.
I know, the comments here. Oh, come on. It's the same guy. It's the same guy.
100% the same person.
Yeah, because he's got that big text there. Like, come on. Be a bit more original.
Hi, user. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Like, I don't know. I guess I just don't understand. But Nemanja Matic today for me, like I said, I thought he had a decent performance, but it wasn't great. It wasn't worthy of being put in the conversation of man of the match. Now, obviously, we're not professionals here. We're just fans that are talking about the game. So I'm going to give Matic a 6. I think a couple of things that he did were very helpful to the team. There were a couple of things that he did that were very helpful to the team. He really defensively breaks up the play well and then gets the ball off quickly. He's been doing that more recently, but today I noticed a little bit of his Jose tendencies coming back, and it's something that we need to try and avoid under Ollie in this new era. So I'm actually going to be really interested to see how you guys rate Matic today, because I feel like Matic could be somebody that could kind of vilify opinion in this one. Wolverine said Matic 7. Vandy Candy said Matic 8. He was better in the second half. Saban said Matic 7. AFF said Matic 7.9. Vince Russo said Matic 7. J Hart said, how can Matic get man of the match? He lost the balls so many times, at most a 6. Matic needs a rest before the PSG game, but we have no one to replace him, which that's a very fair comment, J Hart. I mean, I think that the only real replacement we would have is to put Herrera as the CDM, and then either put Fred or Pereira back in that midfield and against Fulham, which I actually think the match against Fulham would be a good match to potentially give Matic a little bit of a break. And honestly, this is just me. I know how poor Pereira was in that last match that he played, but talk about a chance to give a kid confidence. Put him back in there in that match with Pogba next to him and Herrera behind him. And I think that we'll see a different Pereira. That's me personally.
If anything, I'll play Pereira as part of the front three on that Pogba role.
That's not a. I mean, maybe give Pogba a break.
Possibly. Although, the thing is, when Pogba doesn't play well, the team doesn't play well. That's the only issue. And at times we're maybe a little bit too reliant on him. But I think going forward, maybe with Pereira just playing as part of the front three, maybe on the right hand side, because even though he was just simply horrendous against Burnley, he can put in a decent ball.
Yeah, he can.
But there's not really seen that because he's been played as a defensive midfielder quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
You can even play Fred there. Got Fred's in that midfield position with Pereira behind him, Pogba ahead. So.
Yeah. I think that we need to see something a little bit different in the Fulham match.
Yeah.
And I actually think that the Fulham match, and obviously we're not talking about that yet, I think that Fulham match, we will see a couple of youth players on the bench. Because I think that we are likely to see a bit of change up for that match because we have PSG in the middle of the week. That's just me personally, though. So Chris McTeague said Matic is 6 for me. Defensively, okay, but got caught dawdling on the ball a few times. Attacking, he was too safe and passed back too often, so a 6 for me. So Vandy Katie said we were under a lot of pressure, but he did well. We need him, and every player lost the ball in the second half, which that is very true, Vandy. That is very true. And Vince, I agree that Fred does deserve another chance. And Vandy, I agree that Fulham won't be a walkover like it was in the last match because Fulham are starting to get a little bit better. But I still think that they should be an easy opponent for us at the end of the day. They should be. They're they're second bottom of the table. So for me, I'm not going to try and overlook them. But when you have PSG middle of the week, you got to try and get some of your best players some rest. So that's just a personal opinion, though. Let's see here. Sub Pogba when points are secured, Fred for Matic, and Herrera for CDM. Which, Vandy, I actually agree with that 100%. Maybe put Pogba out there. And then once we have the game kind of wrapped up, hopefully with about 30 to 40 minutes left, take Pogba off, let him have a break. That would be a good time to do that. But speaking of Pogba, let's go ahead and talk about Pogba next. Normally we talk about Pogba last, but let's talk about Pogba next. Pogba kind of had a little bit of a mixed bag today. I feel like he's kind of playing hurt right now, but there was still multiple times where he put in absolutely just deadly passes. What are you going to give him, Matthew?
Yeah, it was a mixed bag, really, like you said. I think that assist, although, special shout out goes to Graham Souness because he somehow found another way to criticise Pogba. I think it was like during half time or whatever, you were saying, oh yeah, but the first touch for that was poor. Who cares?
He intercepted the ball into open area.
Yeah. Do you remember that Martial goal against Chelsea? The one where he takes the touch and then absolutely hammers it, or sort of curls it around the keeper?
Yep.
He scored that because his first touch was bad. Sometimes it's not what the first touch does, it's what the last touch does. And the last touch for Pogba was an unbelievable through ball. Graham Souness, I mean, he's just a meme at this point.
I think he just does it for the attention at this point. I'm
fully aware that he does, and to be fair, I think the more attention we give him, the more he's going to do this. So it's kind of counterproductive to complain about him, but it's funny more than anything.
That's fair.
Just to see how salty a man can be. But yeah, anyways, back to Souness' favourite player. I thought his assist was unbelievable, but at the same time, it was very, very mixed. I don't think in the second half, though, the ball got nearly to him. Well, got to him nearly as much as he would have wanted. Because we've seen so many times on the counter attack, they're started by Pogba picking up the ball from deep and then just running it in defence. I think with Matic, normally he would get Pogba the ball, really quickly in that situation. But a lot of times he was just trying to look for Lingard or Sanchez, who was anonymous, but we'll go into him later, and Martial and all those players.
Yeah.
When he could have given it to Pogba and he'd drive that team on, he'd go straight to the defence and that will commit and defend the forward. And then that just creates a whole bunch of space. So I think Pogba was a little bit quiet at times in the second half, but it wasn't really his fault. It was the fault of Matic.
Which I agree with that.
Yeah. In terms of a rating, I think I'd give him a 7. Because on the whole, he was a little bit quiet, very mixed in his passes, but his assist was good. So that puts him up.
And Matthew, I think a 7 is actually a very fair rating. Like you said, mixed bag. Yeah. But just that pass alone, the assist to Rashford, I mean, oh my goodness. You can't ask for anything more than that. I mean,
but I'm not going to lie. See when Pereira missed that pass and Pogba took that first touch, I think everyone in the football fan community knew that was going to end up in a goal. We've seen it so many times where Rashford's making a forward run, Pogba's got the ball. You just know he's going to put this absolutely saucy pass into the box.
Yep.
He did it.
And he did it. Yeah. I mean,
I think that's now him contributing to 11 goals in 8 Premier League games under Ole.
That is crazy to think about, isn't it?
Stupid numbers.
No, those are ridiculous numbers. Like this
Weirdly, all of his goals have come at Old Trafford. Every single away game that he's played, he's never scored.
I know he's assisted well in away games, though. So
yeah. I think first game he got 2 assists.
Yeah, first game he did get 2 assists.
Today. Yeah, gets loads of assists away from home, but scores loads of goals at home.
I'll take it. Yeah. But let's go ahead. For me, I'm going to give Pogba a 7 too. I think that because of just what's the best way to put like you said, like mixed bag, but at the same time, like it's not fully his fault. I think Pogba getting a 7 is it's a good rating for him. It is. It's a good rating for him because at the end of the day, a 7 is still above average, and he was above average today. He carried the team, and again, there was that moment where he carried the ball from our defensive half into their attacking third and got a foul towards the end of the match where it basically it was Pogba saying, "Hey, I got this. Like this is let me carry the team to victory and let's do this." So for me, I love Paul Pogba, and I'm not going to even make it hidden. I believe Paul Pogba is now the best midfielder in the world. I think that's he's proving under Ollie that having the team be his and being given the freedom to do what Paul Pogba does, Paul Pogba is the best midfielder in the world. But let's go ahead. Let's jump into your guys' ratings. Wolverine said Pogba 8. Saban said Pogba for the assist gets an 8. Ollie said Pogba 9, great assist. AFF said Pogba 9. Vandy Candy said Pogba 7. He would have been better without Sanchez floating around. Jay Hart said Pogba gets a 7.5 from me. There were highlights coming from him, but it can also be partly blamed on Sanchez. Every time they play together, Pogba is crap. Once Martial got on, Pogba went offensive, which that is a great point there. Absolutely great point. Chris McTeague said not Pogba spectacular, spectacular best, but a great assist and powerful run at the end of that and took pressure off of us and pushed Leicester back a bit. Defensively worked hard as well. 7 for me. Pankaj said Pogba 9, which by the way, Pankaj, it's good to see you. It's not like under Mourinho, Pogba was told not to pass, which Jay Hart, that honestly is starting to look like that's what the case was that Pogba wasn't supposed to make the passes that he's making now. Let's see here. Pogba, my man of the match, good assist and made up for Sanchez not tracking and didn't complain from Vince Russo, which Vince, that's a very fair point. Pogba FC. Saban, I'm actually cool with if we want to sell Sanchez to China. We'll talk about Sanchez after we talk about Herrera, but to me, Sanchez just looks like he's not going to work out at Manchester United. Sad but true. But Matthew, let's go ahead. Let's get into our next player, Ander Herrera, Ander Herrera came in and was the Ander Herrera that we love and basically who we need in the midfield right now. What are you going to give Herrera?
I just think it was solid all right. It really wasn't spectacular, wasn't bad. like there was at times he was making really important tackles quite high up in the pitch, and that's what we needed really. So I think in the second half, especially, we sat too deep, kind of invited pressure from Leicester. I think if we had to have a much higher line of defence, we would have scored 2 or 3 past them.
I agree.
Herrera, he's been that kind of glue in the midfield, really. Sort of helps Matic do well, and then helps Pogba at the same time, helps people around him, and just seems to be more of a leader than Ashley Young will ever be, to be honest. So I don't know why he's not the captain.
Yeah.
But yeah, Herrera, I think a 7 out of 10 is probably a fair result, a fair score. Like I said, he wasn't amazing because the whole team itself really didn't put on a great show today.
Yeah.
But he sort of did enough. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to put it. I think that Ander Herrera basically is the player that, and we've talked about this on the show before, Ander Herrera is the coach's dream because he'll literally go out there and do whatever the manager wants from him. And today you could see that Ander did exactly what the manager wants from him. Ander might not be the most talented player on the pitch, but I will say this, Ander Herrera does exactly what you want. And that's something that's really, really hard to ask for. Don't get me wrong. If we could get somebody more talented in that midfield, if we could get somebody, not that I'm saying, it will happen at all. Like, it's just like basically me making, claims of what I would like. If we could get a Ruben Neves in the midfield instead of Herrera, I would take that. But then, funny enough, I would then play Herrera as the CDM and let Herrera be the guy to break up the play. Okay, Matthew, good to know. But we'll hurry this up a bit then. But for me, Herrera just is the player that every coach dreams of. And so for me, I'm going to give Herrera a 7 today. So Pankaz gave Herrera an 8. Wolverine said Herrera 8. Mr. Passion 8, said Saban. Sanchez will be scared to bring his dogs to China, though. Yeah, that's true, Jay Hart. That is very true. Vandy Candy said Herrera 8. Ideal player, did all the dirty work and pressing. Herrera was good, but not great today, but defensively he was good. Vince Russo said Herrera 7.5. He couldn't go forward as much because Lingard and Sanchez kept cutting in and were playing like 2 central attacking mids. Yeah, that's true. Jay Hart said Herrera gets a 7 and the captain's armband for the rest of the season for me, which I 100% agree with you, Jay Hart. Vince Russo said bold statement, but I'm saying you can win a title with Herrera, which I agree with. I think you can win a title with Herrera. Ollie Gunnar Solskjaer said Herrera 8. Chris McTeague said Herrera was ferocious and great passing. 8 is solid 8 for me, and between him and Bai for man of the match. Yeah, good point, Chris McTeague. Let's go ahead. Let's move on to our front three. And once again, we don't normally start on the left-hand side, but let's go ahead and start with the left-hand side today. Alexis Sanchez, the invisible man, was back again, Matthew. What are you going to give Alexis Sanchez?
I mean, did he actually do anything?
No.
Like, it was the most anonymous I've ever seen a Man United player. It's a bold statement, but he just did nothing.
Especially for somebody that was wearing the number 7 shirt.
Yeah, especially for a Man United number 7, who's had that reputation of being a world-class player for quite a few years now. Obviously, isn't that standard anymore. And someone on such massive wages, do you expect him to actually, make a pass or something?
Yeah.
If I'm being brutally honest, I didn't see him touch the ball more than 5 times.
Yeah.
And normally he's one to always get the ball and then he'll misplace the passes after, but I mean, he barely got the ball because he was barely in good positions. Defensively, he's normally someone who presses quite well, but he just didn't press as well.
He did for the first 15 minutes, but after that, he basically went missing.
Minutes. But I think it was a case of the whole team was good in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's very true.
By the way, Aguero gets his hat-trick. It's a scrappy goal, but 3-1. Anyways, back to the former Arsenal man himself. He was just awful. I'd say on par with Ashley Young in terms of the biggest disappointments of today.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think the Chinese transfer window's still open. Might as well just get rid of him. Oh, well, I'd get rid of him if it was possible to get a replacement in now.
Well, the reason why I would get rid of him is because I genuinely believe you could put Tahith Chong out there and he could do a better job.
Yeah. Chong and Gomez when he decides.
Let Greenwood do it too. Greenwood
can play a wide as well, but Sanchez, I don't even know what to say about him. It was just the most nothing game I've ever seen from a Man United player. So for that, I mean, I'm actually quite tempted to give him a 0 because he didn't do anything. But I'd say a 4 because he was just so unbelievably quiet.
It's a tough one for me, Matthew. I think that I'm going to give Sanchez a 4. Reason being is that I did notice him trying things in that first 15 minutes, but after that, I didn't even see him on the pitch.
There was a time where I genuinely forgot he was on the pitch.
Yeah, and it just made you wonder where the hell is Anthony Martial. That's what it did. Is it made you wonder where he was.
I think he was still carrying that knock. So fair enough in terms of the team selection, but he was just disgraceful today. Yeah,
and I agree, and it's unfortunate, but I think that it is time to move on from Alexis Sanchez. It didn't work out for him. It happens. Listen, not everybody's going to succeed at Manchester United. It's the truth. I mean, we all thought that Angel Di Maria would come in here and do great things, but the guy was awful. And sadly,
Di Maria was 10 times the player than Sanchez was at United. At least Di Maria actually scored a few goals.
I think Alexis Sanchez has scored like 3 goals for Manchester United. That's it.
Yeah, I think there's something like 4 goals in 36 games or something like that.
Which is just despicable numbers. Just absolutely.
That's 1 in 9. That's pretty much 1 goal since Ole's joined. And I think he's actually got that, so at least he's consistently doing it. But what pissed me off the most about his performance, and I know I'm going on a full-blown rant here, but I don't care. What annoyed me most was he looked like he didn't care. He was just, happy to kind of just plod around, not really do anything, as long as he's picking up those big wages. And I think that's what was really sort of, take a massive knock to his mentality, because he's normally that first player who will constantly press and beat on your face, kind of like the Ander Herrera of forwards, and gets him off the ball. But he just did nothing.
And I think that part of that is the fact that he's being put on the bench. I think that he's... Yeah. I think he's tired of being on the bench. And guess what? If you're tired of being on the bench, actually perform. If you're tired of being on the bench, perform. And you'll get on.
If you're on the bench, then your role is not to sit there. Your role is to convince the manager that you're better than the first team options already.
Yep.
And at this stage, I wouldn't even choose him as third choice.
I genuinely, at this point, would put Tahith Chong on over Alexis Sanchez. I would put Mason Greenwood on over Alexis Sanchez. I would put Angel Gomez on over Alexis Sanchez. All of these players would bring more to the team and would bring more fight to the team than Alexis Sanchez would. Guaranteed.
Right? I've got to start actually on the left wing than Sanchez.
Ooh. George Kyle wouldn't be happy to hear that. I can tell you that much.
But you know what? At least he's not here.
Exactly. He is not here today. So we'll just kind of sit back and relax on that one. But you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's get into what your guys' ratings are for Alexis Sanchez. Ollie said he's giving Alexis Sanchez a 6. Saban said Sanchez 5. Wolverine said Sanchez 4. Vince Russo said Sanchez 3 today. He played as a striker, center forward, central attacking mid, right winger, left back, and at one point on defense he was right in front of the center backs. That's a good point, Vince. Pancake said Sanchez 5. Vandy Candy said Sanchez 2. He is as bad as playing Mata on the right, which I 100% agree with. Let's see here. Chris Petit said Sanchez did okay, but just okay nearly every game now, and that's not good enough. 6 for me. Let's see here. Jay Hart said Sanchez gets a 4. The last 2 games, he hasn't really proved himself to be the highest paid player in the Premier League and the number 7 for United. Very, very true. And Wolverine, 100%, he does not do the number 7 shirt any justice. None at all. On Monday, Sanchez is going to receive $400,000 for that performance. That is crazy to think about. $400,000 for that performance. That is crazy to think about. But you know what, guys? Let's go ahead. Let's move on to somebody that. But once again, Jesse Lingard. I feel like he's kind of the Ander Herrera of that front 3. He just kind of goes out there and does the job that the manager wants of him. Maybe isn't the most talented guy, but does exactly what's asked of him. Matthew, what are you going to give Jesse Lingard today?
Again, I don't think he was quite as bad as Sanchez because no one can be.
No.
But it was much quieter than what we've seen of him in recent, like against Arsenal or against Tottenham. I just don't think it was really a game that was suited for him. So in terms of rating, I'd give him a 5, but I don't think it was quite a terrible performance.
I think that I think a 5 is a fair rating. I'm going to give him a 6 because I would say that he was average today. Just for me, like I said, I feel like that he goes out there and he does what Ollie wants of him. And I think that's to run at defenders and just basically try and put pressure on their back line. So for me, I think it's just hard to really come down too hard on a player that really just is doing what's asked of him, despite the fact that, like we've said, he's not the most talented guy out there. And I think that even Jesse Lingard would tell you that. So I love Jesse, and I genuinely am proud to have him in our team. But he should be a squad player for us at best. That's the truth. So let's go ahead. Let's see what you guys want to give Jesse Lingard today. So Vince Russo said Lingard just as bad as Sanchez today, 3. Vandy Candy said Lingard 5. He was poor like Sanchez. Didn't track back much either. Jay Hart said, I give Lingard a 5. Attacking-wise, he didn't do much, which that is very true. Chris McTeague said Lingard wasn't at his best. Worked hard, but his final ball let him down constantly. Tired out after an hour. 6 for me. Vince Russo said on Monday, Lingard is going to receive $200,000 a week for that performance. That is crazy to think about. Saban said 5 for Lingard, and Pancast said 4 for Lingard. Which, like I said, guys, Jesse Lingard, I love the guy. I really do, and I would love to get the chance to just sit down and talk with Jesse Lingard because I think he's probably a pretty interesting guy. But he's somebody that should be a squad player for Manchester United, but he is doing exactly what the manager asks of him. And you really can't ask for more from somebody than that. So let's go ahead. Let's move on to our final starter today. That would be Marcus Rashford, who, once again, I think you can kind of put him in that same Pogba category of a mixed bag. Matthew, what are you going to give him?
Yeah, I think his overall game was quite quiet, only because he didn't really have that service.
That's true.
His goal, but I think you can only really judge him from 2 things: the miss and the goal. The miss, he should have scored that, but then again, like I said, he seems to be really poor from crosses. He always seems to have that reactionary blink that just, even if it's for like 1/10 of a second, it completely loses your track of where the ball is.
Yeah.
But I think he's someone who just will never be good at heading. But unfortunately, as that is, it's true. But his other goal, well, not his other goal, his only goal was an absolutely fantastic finish. So really, I'd say only because he scored a goal, a 7 out of 10. But his overall game was maybe a 6. Or maybe even like a 5.5.
So, and I was going to say, I was going to give him a 7 because of the goal. It was a well-taken goal. Now, you could make the argument that maybe you should drop his rating by a half point because of the miss. Because, like you said, I feel like this from crosses, especially, I don't think that I've really seen Marcus Rashford score a headed goal. I mean, I think he scored one in his career, but that's.
I remember him scoring a headed goal.
I feel like he may have scored one. Like, I'm thinking back through the annals in my mind, and I feel like I've seen Marcus Rashford score one header. But that's something that maybe Marcus should consider working on if he's going to be the center forward going forward for Manchester United, because you're going to have times where you're going to have to put in a cross like that. But overall, Marcus runs at the back line, and he took a goal. He did get a goal today, which was the winning goal. Kind of hard to ask for much more than that. So let's see what you guys have to say about Marcus Rashford. Wolverine said Rashford gets an 8. Saban said Rashfordinho gets a 7. Vince Russo said Rashford 7. Beautiful touch for that goal. Jay Hart said, I give Rashford a 7. Second half was too quiet, which is also probably why he got subbed. Chris McTeague said Rashford worked hard, great touch, and clinical finish for the goal. 7 for me. Vandy Candy said Rashford 7. Ollie said Marcus Rashford 8 because of the 3 points. That is a very fair point. Vince Russo said on Monday Rashford will receive $150K for that performance, which I feel like he did earn his money. You score, you earn your money. Simple as. So Pankaj said Rashford 8.5. Now here's going to be something that's interesting, because the very first sub to come on was Anthony Martial, and Anthony did provide a little bit. I'll give Anthony a 6. Just kind of give a quick rating for that one. I mean, Matthew, 6 okay with you?
Yeah, I think a 6 is fair enough, really.
Like, he came on, he kind of helped out defensively, and then he ran to the back line when they were hitting on the counter.
I think when he was brought on as well, the team knew what to do. Like, they actually had some kind of structure to the formation.
Yep.
Whereas when Sanchez was on the pitch, he was just absolutely everywhere, but didn't really do anything in any of those positions. So at least you know that Martial is going to stay wide for the most part and then cut inside really late. And it makes it so much better for Pogba. So, yeah, quick rating would be a 6. He didn't really do too much, but he was better than Sanchez.
I mean, that's a good way to put it. I mean, like, for me, Anthony Martial needs to be on the pitch every single minute of every single match. I think that he offers more than anybody else, and I really do believe that it's time to start giving other players more time. And Mr. Exclusive, it's all good. I'm just happy to see you here. But the reason why I feel like it's time to start leaving Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford on that pitch for every single minute of every single game is because you saw what Sanchez did, and then, good God, Matthew, I'm giving Lukaku a 0. Like, you come on, and within 10 minutes, Ashley Young, who we said was awful, is saying, hey, go, make a run. You come on. You need to do your job. And that's something that you did not do today. You needed to come on, and we needed to get another goal to really seal off that performance. And you didn't provide us anything, Lukaku. I'm giving you a 0, and you will get my ham roll of the week for Premier League player. I guarantee it, because I am truly upset at the fact that you continue to make a living wage at Manchester United, being a sub and doing what you're doing now. You had those two or three quick goals when you came on for Ollie as a sub, but you're worthless. Leave Manchester United as soon as possible. I hope you go to Italy. Honestly, my hope is that we either are able to swap you for somebody that we need, whether that be Koulibaly or whether that be if for some reason N'Golo Kante comes available, swap you for N'Golo Kante and cash. But either way, we're going to have to include cash in a deal for you because you offer nothing to Manchester United. I'm sick of you continuing to be lazy. And it looks like you are basically coming out and saying, you know what? I'm not going to perform because I don't like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I like the last guy. That's what it looks like you're saying when you get on the pitch now. And I'm done with it. I hope that you never see the pitch again, and I hope Mason Greenwood comes in and takes your spot because I'm done with you. Sorry to go on a bit of a rant there, Matthew, but I'm pissed off at Lukaku. I am done with him.
Yeah. To be fair, the only thing I'm going to give him is a bloody salad. Both do with one of those.
Salad and a treadmill to go get some freaking cardio.
Yeah, to be fair, I think most of it's muscle, but still, he's a tight boy. Yeah, like, I think in 3 days, I'm playing five-side football for the second time in about 10 years, and I'll bet you 100% after 10 minutes it will be nearly quite as dead as Lukaku was. I just thought he was, again, like Sanchez, he was just absolutely disgraceful.
He was.
Like, there was no pressing, there was no intensity, there was no runs, and that's like 3 minutes after him coming on. You're a professional footballer. You should, we're not asking everyone to be in N'Golo Kante and performance-enhancing drugs here. We're asking for you to have that basic level of, hard work, and just didn't really provide it.
Nope.
Like, this isn't Jose Mourinho FC anymore. This is Ole FC, where you actually, need to have some kind of intensity and pressing and some kind of, willingness to actually make runs. Like, there was times where I think there was a loose ball that came from the keeper or from the defender, and it came back out to that kind of area right outside the box. And both Pogba, to be fair, who did kind of run his socks off for a lot of the game, so you can't really excuse him too much. But Lukaku was just standing there doing absolutely nothing.
Yep.
I'm thinking, what are you actually doing? Like, he offered nothing in that game whatsoever.
Pancas, genuinely, not only would I put you on the bench over Lukaku, I would put Arthur on the bench over Lukaku. Because I guarantee you Arthur would make runs nonstop. Nonstop. I cannot believe that Lukaku continues to be able to play for Manchester United. Like, I think that the only reason why is because of how much money he's on. That just blows my mind. Blows my mind. But, Matthew, I mean, real quick, we'll give a rating for Ollie, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. I mean, overall, today's match, we knew it was going to be a tough fight. What are you going to give Ollie for today?
Don't get me wrong, we went at our best by any means whatsoever. But I think that was mainly due to the players as opposed to the tactics. Yeah, maybe in the second half we could have done a bit better in terms of our mentality, but I don't really think it was bad enough to the point where it would have cost us a goal. So for Ole, like, looking at it in terms of we've won away against a team who typically get good results against big teams, and we've kept a clean sheet as well. That's really good, but I don't think the manner in which we won it was, quite desirable, if you like. So really, I'd give Ole a 6 or 7 out of 10. Team selection was perfect, given the circumstance. Well, perfect apart from the oxygen free for right back. But given the circumstance, I thought it was a good lineup. I think he learned from his mistake last time against Burnley that you can't really be complacent going into these games. So yeah, like, Ole, I feel maybe a 7 out of 10.
I'm honestly, I think I'm okay with the 7 out of 10 because I knew this was going to be a difficult game, and I kind of prepared myself mentally for that before going into this one. I mean, for the most part, I do feel like we deserve the win. I will say that. I feel like we deserve the win. It's not like we snuck it at the end or anything like that. Like, it just, to me, I think Ollie, to me, is starting to show that he does have some tactical knowledge because he knew what he needed to do against Leicester. He did.
Oh yeah, in terms of like tactical knowledge and knowing other team's strengths and weaknesses, he's got that down to an absolute T. Like, you'd hear stories about him being on the bench, writing down notes constantly. Just in that event that he comes on for about 10 minutes, he knows exactly what spaces to exploit. So I think in terms of that, he's got things absolutely nailed down.
Yeah. No, exactly, Matthew. And it looks like pretty much everybody agrees 7 for Ollie seems very, very fair. So let's go ahead. Let's wrap this up, Matthew. Give me your final thoughts on the game today.
Final thoughts. I just don't think it was a good game. Not exactly going to be first up in match of the day, that's for sure. But a win away against Leicester, who get typically good results against big teams, can't really complain too much with it. 8 wins from 9. Or 11 games played altogether. We conceded, I think, 7 goals.
I know that we're 9 wins in 10.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, 9 wins from 10, that's it. 9 wins from 10, 7 goals conceded. I think we scored something like 23 goals, if I'm right. Which, if you expand that to a whole season, that's equivalent to about 90 goals in a season. And then goals conceded, and you're looking at about 24, 25. So looking at it that way, so far he's been absolutely brilliant. So you can't really fault him, to be honest. Yeah, this game in particular wasn't exactly the nicest on the eye, but we got the result. That's what matters. Next game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Matthew. I'm actually trying to find all of our Premier League results. So since Cardiff, we went 5-1, 3-1. So there's 8 goals and 2 allowed. 4. So that's 11 goals and 3 allowed for against Bournemouth. So we went 4-1.
Oh no, wait, that would be 5, 3, and 4. That's
so
12
8.
goals.
Oh, it's 12. I'm sorry. I thought that I was at 7. I apologize. So
goals and then 2 against Newcastle, is it?
So it was 2-0 against Newcastle, which that will be 14.
14.
And only 3 allowed. 1-0 against Spurs, so that's 15.
15.
2-1 against Brighton, so 17-4.
15.
We were 2-2 against Burnley, and then
19. Oh, actually, so 20 goals in 8 games then, 8 Premier League games.
Yep, 20 goals, 7 conceded in 8 Premier League games.
25 goals in 10 games. I mean, you can't really fault that whatsoever.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. And listen, guys, I mean, my final thoughts are, Ollie's at the wheel. How good does it feel? I'm not going to sing the song. I'm not going to do it. But it all...
You're going to dab and do a Paul Pogba, that's what you don't want to sing the greatest song in Premier League history. What about your priorities?
You know what? Let me ask you this: if we get to, because we're not going to get to 25 on this one, but we get to 25, I will sing the song that on the next one. I have, once again, I'm not seeing any likes right now on my video, which it's something to do with YouTube. It's nothing to do with you guys.
No one likes you.
What's that?
Probably because no one likes you.
It's fair. I actually completely understand that. But listen, guys, Ollie is just, has this team playing on another level. We are playing the way that we all know Manchester United should have been playing for the last 6 years under Ollie. Yeah, guess what? We're not always going to get the best results. We know that's not going to be the case. But we are still going out there and we are putting on performances that Manchester United should be doing against difficult competition. And that's what we did today against Leicester. We got 3 huge points against a team that is a difficult team to beat in the Premier League. Don't get it twisted. They are no easy competition. So, Matthew, as always, thank you for joining me. In case you guys didn't know, I'm going to say it again. Hey, Matthew makes these right here. I don't know if you knew this or not. Matthew makes phenomenal posters. Go buy one.
No, I feel like a vegan telling everyone that I'm a vegan. It's like, by the way, did you know? Although, right, see for the NFL fans around there, I'm going to be doing one poster for Super Bowl winners, which is kind of in the style of the Maradona one, which you've got on your desk right now.
Yes, it is, right here.
Right. Hopefully, if I can do it in enough time, I'll be releasing it the day after the Super Bowl. It might be a bit of a stretch considering I've got classes that day, but I'll see if I can get it done by then. So hopefully, we'll see some good pictures from the Super Bowl that I can nab.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yep.
But guys, we're actually going to be going live again today. I am going to be doing a Super Bowl preview stream. So I do hope that you guys can all join me for the Super Bowl preview. I'm going to have at least 1 live guest, if not 2 live guests in studio. It'll be amazing. So, again, go buy Matthew's posters because I love the guy, and Matthew's genuinely one of the best human beings I know. And I hope that you guys all have a great night, a great day, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Keep doing you because I love you, and you guys are awesome. Have a great night, guys.
Subscribe to